Dorado City Commission regular meeting for June 1st, 2020. First item of business, roll call.
Mayor Young is out. Commissioner Guthrie.
Here.
Vice Mayor Guthrie. Commissioner Lewis.
Here.
Commissioner Badway.
Here.
And Commissioner Wilson.
Present.
Okay. Next item is invocation. Reverend Mark Somerville of Family Worship Center.
Shall we pray? Our gracious Father, we come to you this evening, and tonight we just open up our hearts to you anew and afresh. Lord, we ask you to look over this meeting of our city commissioners. We pray for wisdom and guidance and direction in the decisions they need to make. We continue to hold our state and our country in our prayers as well, that you will minister in a special way to the leadership across our states, we pray. We thank you for all things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for everything you do for the community.
Okay. Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone will stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. No proclamations or recognition. Personal appearance. We have Linda Jolly with El Dorado, Inc.
Okay, Scott will provide you with hand out a copy of our MOU annual report. I want to start by introducing a couple of people from the El Dorado Inc. board that are here this evening. We have Glenn Buchholz, who's our current year president. Darren Raines, who will be is our vice president now, will be the president next year. And then Joe Gatter is our treasurer this year. Jennifer Calloway with staff. And for those of you, Vince Haynes is on our board of directors. And for those of you that haven't met the silver fox back there, that's my husband. He's waiting for dinner. So he comes along and it's cool inside. Okay, little different report this year, more in the form of a written report, which was called for from our MOU. Want to talk about some of the accomplishments of El Dorado Inc. for 2019. This is not a report that's inclusive of all the good things that has happened in the community or that have happened in the community in 2019, but it does outline some of the changes and initiatives that are evolving to make us more efficient and also to see better interaction with our partners with the Chamber and El Dorado Main Street. To begin with, we talk about the work plan. This follows some of the work plan initiatives that we had. It talks about the initiation of the weekly partner brief in 2019. We had traveled to Pittsburgh. It's kind of a best practice that we saw occurring there. We brought it back in late 2018. We initiated the process, and so we've had weekly meetings, some bi-weekly here in 2020 because of COVID-19, but weekly meetings in 2019. We addressed 53 projects. I think we talked to you and gave you reporting on that a couple months ago. El Dorado Inc. did assist with 29 of the 53 projects. The meetings are 30 minutes long, very brief and to the point. And we've coordinated those meetings and also worked towards a packet of information template that could be used by all the organizations. Most of the time businesses need specific information about their project. They don't really need, people are always saying, can't you give them a checklist of resources? You can, but you leave them on their own to figure out what works. And I think it's more important to understand the business and to tailor something that works for them, that doesn't, they get their hopes up if they think there's this grant and that opportunity for resource, only to find out they're not eligible. So it's really important to understand the eligibility of the project, what they're trying to do, and identify resources they can really use. It helps with them wasting time putting a bunch of stuff together only to find out they can't access it. In addition to the partner brief meeting, Scott and David and I have held weekly economic development meetings, little different topics under these meetings because we do talk about a lot of the large prospects on a weekly basis. We've worked on land pricing, incentive policies, talked about the master plan, the candid marketing initiative. During 2019, we did see a renewal of our NRP, worked with the different taxing entities. Several of us went different places to make sure the other taxing entities were on board. David drafted and we worked towards the TIF policy. I think you're going to see information on your first application this evening. And then have done a lot of work together to understand more of our infrastructure pricing and needs when we have the large prospects and they need different things. And then we've continued the monthly partnership meetings, which was the group that addresses what's going on with the actual organization, and then also the events that are taking place at that time. We did respond to 6 requests for proposals from Kansas Department of Commerce. At the end of the year, one of those was still considering El Dorado. It is still an open project. We still are under consideration. For some of you, you were at the table when we worked with the Project Vivo, that we had 2 site visits with that project. Took about a 6-month period of time to complete all of the interaction with them. They did choose Garden City, but they did base it on the distance to raw materials. So we're also charged with tracking and coordinating timely responses and requests from existing and new businesses. This isn't a one-size-fits-all. They are all different. They all need something different, different amounts of time. I've given you a list of 59 projects. Some of them aren't identified very well, but keep in mind that people want to remain anonymous. Sometimes they're in the process of negotiating for real estate. Sometimes they've considered an initiative and didn't go through with it. So, but kind of giving you an outline of 59 open projects. Definitely not all the businesses we talked to, but I would say most of these projects are things that took somewhere at least 4 hours of resource, sometimes as many as hundreds of hours of resource, and go over multiple years. On workforce training, we did participate and continue to participate with the Chamber of Commerce, and Chamber of Commerce is here in Butler County on the ACT Workforce Enhancement Project. The Chamber of Commerce has stepped forward and done a good job of starting to address workforce issues for our existing businesses, and that's been a welcome relief, and it's been information that I feel like wasn't probably adequately delivered in the past. We continue to work with the Department of Commerce. We do have one successful CDBG project for economic development on District 142 at this time, and of course we've continued to interact with the Kansas Economic Development Association as well as Teen Kansas. Initiatives that we've partnered with directly with the city include the West Industrial Park Master Plan, the candid marketing. We continue to help with the Kansas Housing Resource housing grants. We did do an overview of the original Lake Master Plan and provided feedback in reference to recreation that was in the original plan. And we also worked with Molly when she was with the CVB and tried to help in any way we could to help her with additional resources needed. Supporting the relationships with existing business. We've hosted some network events, and of course we're always available for one-on-one business calls if they need us. We maintain at least quarterly contact with El Dorado Inc. members via electronic newsletters, special email notices for information we felt was important that they knew about, and then do have a process to do regular postings on social media. And we're involved with the businesses and the entities listed about educating businesses on local resources. Again, we're willing to sit down, determine the eligibility for resources for businesses and put them in contact or assist them in accessing resources that they're eligible for. We've worked to promote seminars and educational pieces for Chamber and Main Street, and again, that is the section where the Chamber and Main Street are taking over a lot of the one-on-one business education processes. We did help fund the Fireside Chat with Jeff Turner. We intend to continue to assist in larger educational opportunities like that in the future. I think one of the areas where we started to see a lot of involvement towards the end of 2019 and definitely carrying forward into 2020 has to do with the targeted industries. We've spent a lot of time talking about being more proactive about our industry targets. These RFPs that come from the Kansas Department of Commerce, they're blind. We don't know who the business is. A lot of times we don't know what type of business it is. They give us a certain set of criteria and they ask us for answers. So you can get quite a ways down the road on working with a prospect and still have no idea who they are. We feel like it would be more beneficial if we were targeting industries that we knew who they were, we knew what they wanted to do, and we felt like that we had an opportunity to provide things that they needed. A couple of times in the last 5 years, we've gone quite a ways down the road with a prospect only to find out that we weren't close enough to their raw material source. So we have taken a hard look at what we can and cannot provide, what makes us different. We know that we have water in large parcels, we have good transportation, and we're starting to look at industry sectors. Along the way in 2019, we had worked to look at NASIX codes that we thought were going to be of interest to us. And somebody said one day, isn't there a program out there where you can go out and put in what you want and it'll spit out these companies? Well, we did some research. It's not quite as easy as that, but we did find that Gazelle AI was one of the pieces of software out there today that does help you to target industries that are really interested in moving, and also then we had the ability to set some parameters for what we were looking for in a business, and hopefully then screen those down to people that we think are large water users, because that was one of our goals, was to sell water. So we talked to you before about engaging Kansas Global as part of our marketing. This week we're supposed to have that initial list from them for 3 of the NASIX codes. We're expecting somewhere between really 500 and 1,200 targets. So Candid's prepared to respond to those. They have a process that they have put into use that will track. Automatic responses will be given. We'll be able to track where each one of these responses goes. Was it ever opened? If so, what were they interested in? There's a follow-up that's generated automatically accordingly if they were interested in water or sites and so forth. So it's going to be interesting to see that happen. I expect those initial emails to go out mid-June. They have a process of about 8 touches over the next, I think it was about 12 weeks. Continuing to follow up, we'll look at where we are then. As David has said all along, we have the opportunity to tweak this process and make it work for us. So looking forward to that. Let's see, roll out to partners as part of a formal marketing plan. It's also important that we not only go to targets, but that we make the partners around us understand what we're trying to do. And this is a short list of partners, but We do have a lot of people that are involved in our actual process and our sites, not only the owners of some of the sites that we don't own, as well as oil producers on those sites. And so actually, we've seen the first list of a formal marketing rollout to the area, whether it be to Greater Wichita Partnership. We've had some initial conversations with the Kansas Department of Commerce, SCED, local and regional real estate agents, utility partners, and of course our local partners with the Chamber, Main Street, school districts, and so forth. So you'll see that happening towards the end of, it'll be ongoing, but beginning at least before the end of June. We did work with PEC and other entities to make our property shovel ready. We finished the industrial park marketing plan, and we have started to populate location 1. One of the keys to this is properties that are listed on location 1 are going to be available through the ELDOKS website that we continue to populate, but also through the new Develop El Dorado website. So although we may be talking about large parcels, we're going to be able to show any parcels in the community that are available. We're starting to work with individuals that have smaller parcels, so that if someone gets to the website, they aren't really looking for 100 acres, but they're looking for 5 or 20, they'll see some of those opportunities there. I think you're familiar with the rollout of the marketing plan and some of the things that are going to be happening with that. On the housing side, we have been moving away from some of the housing grants and so forth over the last 6 to 12 months, but we did see 14 units completed by pilot properties. Those were the duplex, triplexes that were in the Greiler edition. And we did see the groundbreaking recently of the 32 new housing units in what they're going to call Flint Creek Estates. You've had a lot of opportunities for initiatives there. And so that site work began, and we're expecting about a $5 million investment. They did apply for NRP on those properties. And eventually we estimate the city's portion of the tax on those properties to be about $66,000 a year. Finally, we continue our joint economic development efforts. Just listed a few of the local, regional, and state organizations that we've worked with. We then get into key developments,
Linda, we're getting close to your 10 minutes.
Okay, trying to show some of the major projects that occurred in 2019 with UTLX, the new building downtown that was infill, BG Products completion and the closing of their IRBs, as well as District 142 with our pending projects being Orchlands, which I think you're going to take action this evening. And then of course you've got an IRB in place for Mears Fertilizer. I think page 18 is important to quickly touch on. That's an overview for you of some of the incentives and what the outcome of those incentives are going to be to you and your budget in the future. We saw the Holiday Inn project that had an IRB come on the tax rolls in 2017 with estimated tax to the city of a little over $36,000 a year. BG Products, of course, will come on board in 2021, a little over $344,000 a year. HRSP, which is Days in 2027. The next BG Products in 2031 at $262,000. Mears, you've got your pending IRB for over $13 million. We expect that to be a little over a $16 million project. It's unknown at this time the impact because the building will be in the county and the city. You pass new resolutions for Confab and OCI. You'll see those taxes come off the tax rolls for 2021. You have 5 existing CID projects, another sales tax project with John K. Fisher, and then the Orchlands TIF that's pending that you'll address this evening. And finally, I just gave you a list of the members of the Board of Directors for 2020. Questions?
I just have one. Is that a typo on the executive summary that you're not going to begin contacting industries until 2021?
What paragraph?
Third paragraph down, toward next to last line.
It should have been 2020.
Okay,
I'm
I
sorry,
just-
thank you.
I just wanted to make sure. I didn't-
Yes, no,
I-
it won't
I
be
figured
another
that's what you
year.
were-
It'll be 2020.
Okay,
I hope.
right. I just,
Okay. You know, you can always call with questions
just,
if you have them, so.
does anybody have anything for Linda? Kendra?
Pardon? No. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I see Bill is online with us.
Yes, he is.
Okay, are you taking over?
How's everybody this evening?
You're out of Butterfingers too, Bill.
Thank you,
All
everyone.
right, sorry guys. Yeah, I'm going to be remote tonight on the Zoom side of this commission meeting. So do you want me to continue down the agenda there then?
Yep, we're on number 6.
Okay. So public comments, next item on the agenda. Are we, I can't see inside the commissioner in there. So
There's
it looks
nobody
like
in
we're,
the room.
Okay, so, and, you know, as we're moving through this until we get back to regular commission meetings, I would encourage anyone that has any public comments to contact our city clerk, Tabitha Sharp, at 316-321-9100 for instructions on alternative ways of communicating with city commission. David or Tabitha, do we have any public comments for tonight?
We do not.
Okay. Next items on the agenda are the consent agenda, approval of city commission minutes from May 18th, 2020, and acquisition of 619 and 621 West Ash Avenue. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that the consent agenda is presented be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing that there is none, all those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. There's no old business tonight, so we're going to dive right into new business. Agenda item number 10, approval of bid for project number 542, Douglas Road Improvement Project, Towanda Avenue to Sunset Road.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, bids were received on this project. We did have 3 bidders. The lowest and best bid was from Pearson Construction at $1,148,983. So this evening, we're asking you to direct the city manager to award the contract, providing the company furnishes the proper bonds and insurance. The project will be ongoing this summer with a contract completion date of November 30th, 2020. The limits of the project, of course, are the Southwest Traffic Way or Sunset Road. To the south and to the north will be Towanda Avenue. There will be some work at the intersection of Towanda Avenue and Douglas Road. There's some older concrete there that'll be torn out. There will also be a 6-foot sidewalk placed on the west side of Towanda Avenue. Utilities have been relocated.
Towanda Avenue doesn't have a west side.
I'm sorry, Douglas Road, the
Okay.
west side of Douglas Road. I
Okay.
apologize.
You said you're going, no.
No, thank you for catching me. That is one thing as we held the informational meetings and the public hearings with those folks about the number of children that walk and wanting to address that. We were able to add that sidewalk into our project scope and still be within the authorized amount. A little unique here this evening, I was actually the low bidder on the project. However, we had enough contingency built in with the authorized amount. when we go to authorize pre-design, contingency is estimated at 15%. So there's still enough contingency in there to cover that. So we will be in good shape. After this evening, we've already started making contact with the owners along there, meeting with them individually, one-on-one, talking them through the process of the project, any special issues they may have, any requests they may have, and doing that.
Do we have any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I move that since Pearson Construction LLC has submitted the lowest and best bid of $1,148,983 for project number 542, the city manager be directed to award the contract to said contractor, providing the company furnish the proper bonds.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing that there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
You need to go back to number 8.
I was going to ask the exact same thing.
It's got a separate motion to it.
Do you need a motion for that?
It's been approved as part of the consent.
It was part of the consent.
Okay,
agenda.
that's,
Okay. That confused me.
I was right there with you.
Next item on the agenda, number 11, the West Central Gateway TIF District Public Hearing and Ordinance. Who's got this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mitch Walter, Gilmore and Bell Bond Counsel. I think it may be appropriate to first hold the public hearing on the creation of the tax increment financing district prior to the consideration of the actual ordinance creating the district.
Okay, do we need to talk about any? Okay. I guess we'll take this opportunity to open the public hearing.
If you want, I'll give an overview of the project. So,
David, he needs to close the public hearing first.
well,
He just opened it.
The public needs to know what we're talking about. I mean, we assume that they all are the back end, so I'm just going to provide it. And
Yeah, I'd like an overview and some background of the project.
we have an overview of the project. So, Orshland had requested use of the city's statutory authority to issue to use tax increment financing, otherwise known as TIF. We've talked about this at several other meetings. But in essence, what it allows us to do is capture the incremental increase in property valuation arising from improvements to a property. So a property might be worth X. Prior to improvements, in this case, there was a Fenton Ford building was on that site. So it had a valuation. The property gets raised, and then Ursulines will come in and they will build a new project on that site. And they will increase the property valuation. So what this particular piece of the TIF project procedure is, in essence, is creating a TIF district, which is a geographically defined area included in your packet under Exhibit A, which is the site that the former Fenton Ford building was on, as well as property to the west of that, all the way to southwest Boyer Road, and then extending north up to West 2nd Avenue. This area will be defined as the redevelopment district that we would then apply the tax increment financing incentive to. Any development that takes place within that district over the next 20 years will generate an incremental increase in revenue of property taxes that will be captured, and that captured revenue will then be used to pay for eligible public improvements, namely the extension of West 2nd Avenue, some water improvements, sewer improvements, stormwater improvements, and there are some additional what I'll call supplemental improvements, for example, parking lot, and and some other things that will also be included as eligible expenses that are not necessarily publicly owned, but that the public will have access to as well. But for this process, the city commission has to conduct a public hearing to take objections or any questions related to the geographically defined area that we'd like to call the TIF district. And then at some subsequent meeting in the future, we will bring the actual project to you all for consideration as well. So the TIF requires two different processes: the establishment of the district, which is what you're considering here today, and then the second piece will be project or projects, as the case may be, that would be constructed within the TIF district.
So they can pay for their parking lot with it?
Yes, under the TIF Act, parking structures are TIF eligible expenses, and that has been an item that was requested as part of the tax increment financing.
As long as, and you were saying because it's available to the public?
So the TIF Act is modeled after the Missouri statute, but essentially what it does not allow for is TIF funds to be used for private vertical construction, but they may be used for site improvements, for parking facilities, for other public infrastructure items. And so the Act itself provides a statutory definition of which costs are TIF eligible based on the project that was submitted to the cities as part of the TIF application, and the estimated TIF eligible expenses. We have gone through and categorized which ones would be TIF eligible and which ones would not be TIF eligible. The estimated TIF eligible expenses are about $1.1 million out of an estimated almost $5 million project. And so based on that, which was in the application, the feasibility report, which Baker Tilly has provided, that's the city's financial advisor, estimates that given the project and the existing value and then the estimated value once the project is complete, you're looking at about 10 to 11 years for the payback of the TIF eligible expenses that have been requested by the developer. And after that point in time, after the payback is complete, then all of the increment is then captured and distributed as regular. That's part of the project plan, which David alluded to earlier, which is the second step of this two-step process. This is the first step, which is the TIF district creation. If you recall previously, the city adopted a resolution letting the public know that it would be considering an ordinance creating the establishment of the TIF district. That was a month ago, which then you have to have 30 days between that resolution and the actual public hearing and the ordinance creating the TIF district. And now we have to have another 30 days after the governing body gives notice that it's going to consider the project plan. The project plan is the final step, which creates the project area that David was alluding to previously. So the whole process takes 3 to 4 months because of the 30-day time period that's required between the major steps. And so we are at step 1 tonight of actually creating that TIF district. I would also mention that we have submitted drafted draft development agreement and distributed it to the working group. The development agreement provides exactly how the TIF eligible costs are submitted, how they get repaid, puts some other requirements in there for the developer to actually complete the project and do what they say they're going to do in order to actually access the TIF funds for reimbursement of those eligible expenses. But all of that would come down the road at the project area if the city were to choose to move forward tonight with the creation of the district.
In our memo, under trade-offs, it talks about taxing entities, Butler County, the community college, and USD 390.
Sorry.
Probably a typo, 375.
So it should be 375? Okay. I thought maybe you were combining the two districts together.
My brain probably.
Yeah.
It's a new school district.
And I would just mention tonight, just the draft feasibility report that Baker Tilly has provided estimates that the base value, which means that's the appraised or assessed value of that property right now is about $124,000. The estimation upon project completion is about $1.2 million. So based on that, which is a pretty healthy increment, and so based on that, that's where the Baker Tilly's estimated to take about 10, 11 years based on capturing that incremental property tax to pay off the project costs, and then after that, the city and the county capture the increment. I think that this project, looking at the policy that the city has previously adopted with respect to TIF, fits within the parameters outlined by the city as far as the request by the developer, the timeline as far as the payback, and the other items in that TIF policy that the city has previously adopted. And this is, of course, the first one.
Right.
What would be the ordinance number?
G 1326.
We haven't closed the public hearing yet, have we?
Right.
As long as there's nobody there to participate, otherwise participate in the public hearing, we need to close the public hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to close the public hearing for this agenda item, and I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number G 1326, an ordinance of the governing body of the city of El Dorado, Kansas, making finding and establishing a redevelopment district pursuant to KSA 121770 ITSEC and amendment thereto.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please, Tabitha.
Mayor Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Guthrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Badway,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Yes.
Okay, so is that the end of that agenda item?
Yes.
Now,
Okay, next on the agenda, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I was just going to mention that the next part is now the actual project area and project plan. We will be drafting the proceedings. The city will again have to adopt a resolution giving notice of a public hearing on the creation of the project plan. All that will come down the road, as well as the development agreement. Long-term timeline, we're looking at being finished with this by the end of July-ish on the final timeline, at which point in time the TIF will be created, the project area will be up and running, and we'll be done with the TIF proceedings.
That's not that long.
No, it's not. No.
I guess it's on June 1st now, right? Feels like we've been working on this for about a year. So. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda, number 12, airport lighting project bid approval.
City Commission, the existing runway lights at the airport were installed sometime in the 1980s, and they've outlived their useful life. So the staff has been putting together a lot of time to figure out, what is necessary to replace those. So the project that has been approved by the FAA includes not only replacement of the runway lights for runways 1533 and runway 422, but it also includes precision approach path indicator, also known as PAPI lights, for those runways as well, and a reconstruction of taxiway A lighting. All new lights will be base mounted LED fixtures, as provided in your staff report. So this project was originally estimated to cost $1 million. It is an FAA cost share project, meaning that the FAA was going to pay for 90% of that $1 million, about $900,000, based on the bids. However, with a recent passage of one of the CARES Acts that came through Congress, this project is eligible to receive full funding, meaning that the city will not be on the hook for any portion of the project, which is great news. Bids were solicited, and the engineer's estimate for the construction portion of the project was $773,995. Again, that doesn't include design construction and some other elements of that. Strukel Electric Incorporated submitted the low bid of $499,235, and the total cost for the project is $725,240. Even though the city will not be actually spending money on this, we do need the city to approve the bids, so we can get that approval to the FAA so that they can continue their process. But as I mentioned, we will not be paying anything for these particular improvements. Incidentally, the company that won the low bid also installed the lights the very first time, or the last time I should say, that they were installed, so they have experience with our airport and our lighting system, and so that will be good as well. So with that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
You answered mine, they are FFA approved.
I say we pass it before they change their mind.
Yeah.
Right?
So do we need another motion for the project engineer for Olson and Associates also?
No, that's already been done. That work's already been done and completed. So Olson Associates, the city had a multi-year contract with Olson Associates, and so they've been under our airport engineering contract for several years.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. You ready, Bill?
I'm ready when you are.
Mr. Mayor, I move that since Strukel, is that Strukel? Electric Inc. has submitted the lowest and best bid of $499,235 for airport improvement project number 3-20-0018-013. The city manager be directed to award the contract to said contractor, providing that the company furnish the proper bonds.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion or questions? Seeing that we have none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda, item number 13, COVID-19 Economic Development Relief Fund proposal.
City Commission, before you.
I can go ahead, David.
Sorry. City Commission, before you is a proposal to utilize, some funding from the Economic Development Sales Tax Fund, which currently has a balance of $218,955 for economic development grants to assist and support the community small businesses that have been affected by COVID-19. At the last meeting, we had applied for, the Commission approved the application for a community development block grant, specifically for COVID-related expenses as well for small businesses. But that program, it will be funded, should we be awarded funds, the city would receive about $300,000 for this type of grant. However, that program, the statewide, there was $9 million that was available to be distributed, and it was going to be distributed on a first come, first served basis. And at the time of that meeting, I believe there were 31 or so applications that had been submitted to the Department of Commerce. It's not to say that we wouldn't get funding, but we may not get funding. So because the Economic Development Sales Tax Fund does have some funds in there, after the meeting the other day, I thought maybe what we should do or think about doing is think about a small program ourselves to support some of these small businesses that are currently underfunded or have some inventory issues that they'll be needing to ramp back up for as they begin to reopen or whatever the case may be. So this proposal is one that you can consider. If need be, we can get additional information. But these funds are available now, and economic development funds are not specifically defined, so it's something that would fit within that construct if the governing body decides that it's something that meets the economic development criteria that you guys want, and also something you guys would like to do. So I'll stand for any questions. We don't have any criteria set up at this point. What we would do is, if the governing body is interested in doing something like this, We would have you authorize the use of the funds, and then we would be able to come back with some criteria and a process to evaluate requests from businesses to distribute those funds. We could use the CDBG criteria, but when staff first got that criteria, we were kind of looking at it, and if you probably looked at it, it's very limited on what businesses can actually use the monies. The CDBG monies are geared toward helping businesses with low to moderate income jobs. So some certain jobs may not be eligible because of how much they pay their employees. This program would not have any eligibility, may not have any eligibility requirements with respect to income, but could have other criteria that we establish should you guys like to do something like this. So I'll take any questions that you have. Obviously, there's not a lot of meat on the proposal, but really the first question is, do we want to authorize some funds to help our small businesses? And if so, we need to do so forthwith because businesses are currently struggling now.
Who will administer it? You?
The city would. We would also utilize input from our partner agencies like the Chamber and Dorado and Main Street.
You said, what is the $300,000 number?
So the $300,000 is the maximum award that a city can receive under the CDBG COVID grant that we applied for last week.
Didn't our outside partners do a survey? I mean, is there a need number?
So I don't have a specific number, but yes, you're correct. They have been contacting all the businesses within our community. And while I don't have a number of businesses that are struggling right now, the overwhelming majority of them have expressed some level of struggle with respect to COVID-related expenses and or being shut down and or not having inventory, et cetera.
Okay.
So basically, in the motion, you're asking us to set up the $150,000 out of the economic development sales tax. Then you'll develop criteria, and then you'll figure out a way to evaluate the requests from the community.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's say after we authorize the $150,000, something changes and it's not still a good idea to do. Can we nix it?
Sure.
Okay, because I feel like we're allowing this money, but there's still steps that have to be outlined.
Right, yeah, we would bring back the criteria and the process that would be used to evaluate the applications and requests. So you'd be able to see that, and then that would be the final trigger point for distribution of funds.
Will we vote on that?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first thing is, before we develop criteria and a process and everything, we want to see, is this something that we wanted even to do in the first place? So by authorizing the funds, we know that, okay, we're kind of putting an earmark on those funds. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to develop a process. We can also kind of get the word out to businesses that this is something that we're looking at doing, just so they can start, getting that kind of together in their mind about what their application might look like. But there's already some criteria that we could kind of utilize and kind of use as a jumping off point to help us get that put together pretty quickly, so that we can come back. Kind of the idea behind getting it to you as soon as possible was that we don't want to take a whole bunch of time kind of developing it and everything when businesses need the capital now. So if we would have waited till the next meeting, it's 2 more weeks, and then it could be another 2 more weeks after that. And so now you're looking at the beginning of middle of August, or middle of July, early August, and then some businesses that may need help now may not be around. So if we could get authorization now, it doesn't necessarily get us to where we want to be ultimately, but it gets us a little bit further down the road than if we would have taken more time to develop the whole.
It all helps.
Right.
I'm in favor of this, but I'm, just like you said, I don't want to screw around with it. I mean, chop, let's get it done and get the money out to the people that need it. I mean, I'd like to see it, if we vote on it tonight, you get your criteria to us,
next week.
Next week, I'd like to see it funded by the middle of the month.
I had a conversation with Jordan at the chamber last week, and she said that they pulled out some money out of their coffers to do that, so they kind of have a system already in place, as far as I could tell. And after the conversation we had last week or 2 weeks ago about how overworked you guys are and how much stuff you got on your plate, I would be in favor of teaming up with the chamber to kind of help distribute and figure that out, because she's got a system already in place from what I understood.
Yeah.
I mean,
I heard the same thing.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what
No, I heard the same thing, and I think that's a good idea.
I just, I mean, if we're trying, if expediting it is of the essence, I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. The chamber had a program, they granted $10,000 to 6 businesses, not $10,000 to 6 businesses, but $10,000 across to 6 businesses, so a total of $10,000. But you're exactly right, they have a process kind of set up, and they're kind of in the business retention element or category, so I think that could be a good piece of it. The important thing to note, though, that I think it's important for us to stress is that it will be very important to evaluate the businesses to determine which businesses. If we give Acme Construction Incorporated $10,000 or $5,000, whatever the grant is, we want to make sure that that grant is sufficient and that they have enough capital to get through and not just get through the next 2 weeks and then they close, right? We want to make sure that it's what they need to get through this and then continue, and not just a short-term thing where we delay the inevitable.
But on the flip side too, there may be some businesses out there that if they can get 3 or 4 grand, that might be the tipping point for them too.
Right.
So,
Right.
Absolutely.
no, I'm in favor. I say, let's get on it.
I would agree with what you guys are saying. I like, David, under staff recommendations, and that's what you put in there. There was a line in there where you say, to maximize the benefits of business community, the city could encourage business and individuals throughout the community to contribute funds to the relief fund. For example, the city could be matching dollars contributed with the relief fund, which may allow us to get above the 150,000 units. So I think that's an opportunity as well to work with the chamber and Inc. and some of our partner groups to get with some local businesses, some banks that have been able to weather the storm a little bit, maybe a little bit more successfully than others, and see if there's some matching that they could do as well. With that being said, I think that kind of the reason for discussion tonight is to move this along, expedite this, and if we can authorize the city, the staff to authorize David up to $150,000 from our current economic development fund, then they can get to the drawing table and get some stuff drawn up, work with Jordan in the chamber, because to your point, Matt, I know that they've got a little bit of program in place over there already, and then just kind of have that, figure out what that award looks like and how we do that with David working with the chamber in this case to be able to identify and then award those funds. So, do we have a motion?
I move to authorize up to $150,000 from the Economic Development Sales Tax Fund to provide an initial contribution to a COVID-19 relief fund for small businesses, and further authorize the city manager to develop criteria and a process to evaluate requests from businesses for the distribution of funds in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. You okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Period.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I'll get back to the top of my agenda here. Looks like that is all that is on the regular new business agenda. So we'll go to City Commission and Advisory Board updates, and we'll go from my left. Matt Guthrie, you're on my left tonight. What do you got?
I haven't had any updates. I don't have any updates for Tabitha. Are we gonna be doing anything with the CTC? Has that been happening?
We will. We just haven't had any advisory boards during the pandemic, and I was talking with another person that has an advisory board, and we look at trying to start those up again within the next month or so.
Okay. Have we heard anything from Bajillion?
I have. They sent us the bill, and we paid that, and they will get started.
Oh, okay. Did they give any indication of timeline or anything? We would see anything from them?
It was in their proposal that I brought, and I do not remember that right off the top of my head, but I believe we should see something within the first month or so.
Okay.
At least see activity.
Okay. And I don't have anything else. I just wanted to thank you, Tabitha. That's all I got, Bill.
Thank you. Greg, Commissioner Lewis.
Thank you for working on the ditch on 10. It looks like it's gonna drag real well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I already see that. Saw that too.
Now, it won't rain after that, so.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Nick?
Haven't had another library board meeting. God, I didn't bring my thing from last time. I thought they said they were gonna try and open the 8th. Is that right?
With some restrictions, yes.
Right, with some restrictions, but you can actually, they're doing curbside now, but I think you can, I think you can actually go in on the 8th, I think,
Yeah.
don't.
Because that was originally the
Yeah.
beginning of stage. or
Christie,
phase
if I'm
3.
wrong, I'm sorry, I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I got the deal, is the fact that there aren't gonna be any baseball games, is that gonna change our firework deal? Or are we still gonna have it there, or?
We're still trying to do Pee Wee, aren't we?
Well, I mean, the Broncos.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't care, but I just didn't know if everybody still was on board with having the fireworks at Mac. Isn't that what we decided?
That's what you all decided, yeah.
Okay.
I'm still good with it.
Okay,
I
that's
think we
cool.
can throw the Little League teams in there. Good old All-American 4th of July.
Oh, and you probably told us and I forgot, my daughter wanted me to ask when the splash pads are gonna be open.
They will open next week, the same day as the pool, sorry.
And what day would
And
that be?
that's the 9th, Tuesday?
Yep,
Next Tuesday, okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So we will be opening everything the same day.
So the restrooms will still be closed, right?
I don't know if you guys discussed that.
Kevin and I have not discussed that yet, so I guess we need to talk about that. I would anticipate that they would be open as well.
That's all I got.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Well, Nick asked my 4th of July question. So the only comment I have to make is, remember to throw your grass clippings back into your yard, not into the street. And Commissioner Badway will back me up on that.
Nick, did you leave your grass in the street?
Oh, hell no.
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 The look she gave you.
Oh, no. Either he or I are the one to bring it
Oh,
up.
yeah, I'm one of the guys that drives around and rats people out.
Okay.
Oh, one thing I did forget though, Bill, because I've done this for, what, 10 years, 11 years? When it starts getting hot, think about your neighbors, especially your elderly neighbors. Check on them, and especially you see animals outside. Make sure if they don't have shade and or water, let animal control know, because there's no excuse for that.
Right.
I'm really done now.
I appreciate that sentiment as well, Nick. And I do appreciate over the years that is something that you've continued to remind us of, and I think a lot of people take that to heart. So it is going to start getting warmer out each day. So let's just, as we generally do a really good job as a community, looking out for each other. So I think it's just another opportunity to look out for our neighbors and those around us. So I don't know if David was going to mention this in his city manager report, but it looks like the El Dorado Broncos, like you guys mentioned, have canceled their season this year. So we already kind of addressed the conversation about where we do fireworks. I think I would encourage Kevin and the rec department and David and you guys to maybe try and get a game going down there, whether it's Little League or somebody, try and get something going that night and try and get the community out together and enjoy some fireworks. So I really don't have any other updates right now.
Okay.
So next on the agenda is the city manager's report.
Just a couple things. Sometimes it's good to reflect on good compliments we receive as well. This past, I don't think it was this weekend, but the weekend before that, I think it was Memorial Day weekend, there was a disc golf tournament that was held at our disc golf course behind the stadium. And we received some good compliments. In fact, I've actually heard specifically from some people, but we had someone on our Facebook page state that the course was very nicely kept and a joy to play on. He hoped that we would continue to allow tournaments. I've had a couple of other people tell me that they appreciated the changes to the layout that was made. The course flows better, and they just got a lot of good compliments. So I think the person that was talking to me said that they had about 30 disc golfers out there, maybe more. But they had a pretty good tournament, pretty good showing out there that weekend. We also had Mark Shelton called in and expressed his appreciation with the Public Works Department. Last Friday he called and let us know that they had done some work in front of his entrance adjacent to the street, and he appreciated the work that they did because it helps his vehicle doesn't hit the pothole or whatever. So sometimes it's really nice to hear that stuff as well.
What street was that?
It doesn't say here, but it's in front of his Barnes Monument.
Okay.
100 block West Kansas.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
As Tabitha mentioned, the city pool will be open on June 9th, beginning at 1 p.m. There will be several rules that participants will need to comply with, so you can go to our website or Facebook page to get more information about that. We encourage people to kind of check that out ahead of time, but the pool officially opens June 9th at 1. T-ball and machine pitch league registration is open until Friday, June 5th. Registration is $10 and includes in-town and out-of-town. And we do have scholarships available. Register at the Recreation Department. You can call City Hall at 321-9100 or visit our website for more information. Baseball, softball will have a shortened season this year. That only applies to those who have already registered. Contact Parks and Rec for additional information. And then a couple more things that are kind of good community news. The El Dorado Rotary Club will be conducting its annual anniversary of the Tornado Memorial that went through town on June 10th. They'll be doing that at 5:45 p.m. at Grand Park at the Tornado Memorial. So if you're in town and can make that, that'd be great. If the weather is decent, meaning there's no clouds in the sky, the city will activate the sirens at 5:45 p.m. to honor those that lost their lives in that tornado event. There will also be a short ceremony and a dedication of the 13 victims who lost their lives on that day 62 years ago. So again, that is June 10th at 5:45 in Graham Park at the Tornado Memorial. You were at the tornado?
Mm-hmm.
For what?
I was there in
me too.
58.
And then the City Municipal Band will have their first concert this Thursday at the Band Shell in Forest Park at 7:30. I'm told that they will have a pep band type music, so if you're into that, or if you just want to hear the municipal band, or if you just want to get out, come on down to Forest Park at 7:30 for the municipal band.
That's Thursday?
Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday at 7:30.
They are encouraging people to bring their own chairs, so that we can do proper social distance that night.
The only other thing that I had reported to you all previously that Kevin King was going to be here for his SUP at 105 North Arthur. I'd also reported to you that there was some, well, he is under the impression that he can go ahead and park those vehicles in the street, so he's removed the vehicles from the area on the property in front of the fence, but because they are legally tagged and operable, they are parked now in the street. He unfortunately could not be here tonight to answer any questions, or if you had any additional things you'd like to convey to him, but he will be here next meeting, which I believe is June 15th. And I believe he also has some cases in front of the court as well. So, yes, Kendra.
Is that all you got?
Well, I'm all for putting the revoke of his SUP on that agenda also, that if he feels that that's the way, feels that, because I specifically asked him the question, he's gonna have his vehicles behind the fence. He answered yes, so he's lied to us. I'm ready to pull the SUP.
Chief, if they're legally tagged,
I'm sure he can.
you can park them in the street. Is that a true statement?
Legally tagged and operational.
And operational, that's what David said.
Yeah, he claims they're legally tagged and operational. I have not
And you
seen
need
them.
to move them around every now and then, so
Operate.
it's not the same configuration
What do you think on
like you
demand?
see elsewhere in town.
Operate them on demand.
Right. That's all I have.
Okay, so is that something we need to get on the agenda or have further discussion about, or?
Kendra says yes.
Okay.
Did you
What?
say
I'm
yes?
sorry, I guess I missed it.
Put revoking his SUP now on the next regular meeting's agenda? If he's gonna be here to talk about it, maybe at least inspire him to get here.
I mean, to me, there's another instance in town
Yeah.
that needs to be looked at also.
Where's that? Where's that?
Stop.
I'll talk about it.
That's 3.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
I did come up with one last thing. Last week we met with the Corps of Engineers about the master plan for the lake. And I know we put it out on Facebook and our Twitter about answering the survey about what the residents would like out there. I just wanted to encourage everybody to go look at that, submit your comment, however crazy it can be, please put it out there. Whatever you want to see, if nothing else, it's information that they can look at to see that the town and the people of the citizens of El Dorado do want stuff out of the lake. So that was the last, I forgot to say that earlier.
Yeah, so to your point, Matt, they're gonna, like you said, get the information out there, folks. They're gonna aggregate all that information and get it back to us as well. So anything that you put out there, as far as desires and wants at the lake, will get documented, will get aggregated and back to us so that we have that information as well. So it'll be a good repository for some of that information. So please check out the website, check out the survey, and see what you can fill out. And I think that survey is due June 26th.
Yes, 26.
Okay. All right, anything else? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.